I told her Fortune City would be safe, but I was wrong. Now we've got 72 hours to escape, and in this city, creativity kills. Dead Rising 2.
Welcome back to the channel, folks. If you've been around here for a while or watched my video on it last month, you already know how much I love the first Dead Rising. That game was a breath of fresh air for the zombie genre back in 2006. Equal parts horror, comedy, and sandbox chaos, all wrapped up in a time limit that forced you to think about every move. It wasn't just another zombie game, it felt like the closest thing to living through your own George Romero movie. So when Dead Rising 2 was announced, I was hyped. It wasn't a question of whether or not it could improve on the original, but if it could build on what the first game got right while fixing those rough edges. Would Survivor AI actually work this time? Would the story feel more grounded? Could a new developer, Blue Castle Games, later renamed Capcom Vancouver, really carry the torch? Turns out the answer was a clear yes. Released in September 2010, Dead Rising 2 is one of those rare sequels that sanded off the clunkiness, expanded the right ideas, and streamlined the rest. The core gameplay is still here, but it's more accessible. Chuck Green is a more grounded lead than Frank, the story feels more personal, and Fortune City carves out its own identity while still feeling like classic Dead Rising. Outside of a few nitpicks, I don't have much to complain about. Dead Rising 2 is the peak of the franchise. The only reason it isn't my favorite is because nostalgia keeps me tied to the original. But as far as polish, pacing, and design go, this is the one to beat. So let's dive in. Also do all that fun YouTube algorithm stuff, like, comment, subscribe. There's a hype button now, I'm not quite sure what it does, but hit that too, I guess. Before getting into the sequel, let's do a quick recap of the events of the first game, in case you didn't watch that video. Dead Rising follows Frank West. He's covered wars, you know, a photojournalist who travels to the small town of Willamette, Colorado, chasing a tip about the military being called in to handle a riot. What he finds instead is a town completely overrun by zombies. After being dropped off by helicopter, Frank takes shelter in the Willamette Parkview Mall, along with a group of survivors. As the outbreak unfolds, Frank teams up with Homeland Security agents Brad and Jesse. Together they work to uncover the cause of the outbreak and stop the man behind it, a terrorist named Carlito. Throughout the investigation, Frank slowly unravels a larger conspiracy involving the US government and its past involvement in unethical biological experiments in a place called Santa Cabeza. Carlito's attack on Willamette is revealed to be revenge for what happened to his people in Santa Cabeza, and his plan goes beyond just one town. He intends to spread the infection across the US. Frank and Carlito's sister Isabella ultimately manage to stop him and escape the town as it collapses under the weight of the outbreak. Frank gets the truth out to the public. The government admits partial responsibility for the Santa Cabeza incident, but officially denies any connection to Willamette. With the story quickly buried and forgotten by the media, the larger threat fades into silence until something like it happens again.
Hey! You're on in 2 minutes, Mr. Green.
My name's Chuck.
Yeah. Look, I need you to sign this release form before you go out there. Oh, and don't forget to include your next of kin.
Her name is Katie. Can you take her somewhere safe?
Yeah, I'll take her to the green room.
Go with the nice man, Katie. Don't worry. I won't be long.
Dead Rising 2 introduces us to a new protagonist, Chuck Green, a former motocross champion, widower, and single father. Chuck's life has been shaped by tragedy. He lost his wife during the Las Vegas outbreak, and in the chaos his daughter Katie was bitten. She survived thanks to Zombrex, a miracle drug that suppresses the infection for exactly 24 hours, but that survival comes with strings attached. Every single day without fail, Katie needs another dose to keep from turning. That's why Chuck is in Fortune City. Zombrex isn't cheap, and after Vegas it's even harder to come by. Desperate to provide for his daughter, Chuck swallows his pride and signs up for Terror is Reality, a grotesque game show where contestants kill zombies in front of a live audience for money, ratings, and spectacle. It's the kind of thing that makes you wonder if maybe humanity deserved the zombie apocalypse after all. But when your daughter's life depends on it, you do what you have to do. Chuck easily crushes Terror is Reality. You just run over zombies with your chainsaw bike in a time limit. But he doesn't win over the hosts, Amber and Crystal, the sultry twin MCs who lace every insult with innuendo. They strut around the stage like they own it, smirking, tossing flirty one-liners, and tearing Chuck down for being a has-been. They're the definition of femme fatales. Cruel, gorgeous, and clearly get off on tormenting Chuck. He blows them off. He won the money for Katie. That's what matters. But then, disaster strikes. Moments after Chuck collects his winnings, the zombies being used for TIR break free from their holding pens. Within minutes, Fortune City collapses into chaos, just like Vegas before it. Once again, Chuck is thrown into a nightmare, scrambling to protect his daughter, secure Zombrex, and survive an outbreak that feels all too familiar. The chaos outside quickly spirals out of control, but Chuck manages to fight through the hordes and get Katie to the emergency bunker. Inside, tensions are already running high. The shelter's head of security, Sullivan, immediately zeroes in on Katie's old bite wound. Chuck explains she was bitten back in Vegas, but she's not a threat. She's been on Zombrex ever since. And Chuck brought her meds with him. Sullivan isn't exactly reassured. He makes it crystal clear. If Katie's going to stay, Chuck better have her next dose ready for 7 a.m. sharp, every single day. It's also in the bunker that Chuck meets Stacy Forsyth, a local leader of Cure, a humanitarian group that protests the mistreatment of zombies. To them, Terror is Reality isn't entertainment, it's exploitation. They argue that the undead, as monstrous as they are, were once people. Someone's husband, wife, child. They should be euthanized, not herded like cattle. Also random, but does anyone else think Stacy looks like MJ from Insomniac's Spider-Man? Before she got the Wine Mom redesign, I mean. Stacy serves as our girl in the command center, looking out for trouble on the security monitors and radioing Chuck when she spots something. She also keeps an eye on Katie when he's out of the safe house, which is handy because Chuck lied about the Zombrex he had on hand, and he needs to head out into the strip to look for more before his little girl becomes a flesh-eating monster. With the clock ticking, Chuck heads out at first light to find a dose of Zombrex. Stacy suggests he try the pharmacy, Roy's Mart, in the nearby Royal Flush Plaza. Before we grab the drug though, now's a good time to pause the story to discuss everything that's new with Dead Rising 2's gameplay. The original Dead Rising was an action-adventure game that has you kill hordes of the undead with whatever isn't nailed down. In between completing story missions, you'll run around finding survivors and escorting them to safety. You'll earn experience points for successfully saving survivors, killing zombies, and doing some other tasks. Earn enough experience, you'll level up, randomly increase a stat, your inventory size, or learn a new move. You're also on a timer of 72 hours to complete all the story cases and save as many survivors as you can. All that is still the same here in the sequel, but tweaked or improved by removing some of the rough edges. First, photography is gone, which makes sense since Chuck isn't a photographer, and the system was a bit half-baked. Next, one of the biggest improvements Dead Rising makes is improving survivor AI. In the first game, escorting survivors felt like babysitting drunk toddlers through a war zone. They'd get stuck on corners, ignore your commands, and decide to fistfight a crowd of zombies instead of following you 2 feet to safety. It was frustrating, a little clunky, and often not worth the time unless you're going for 100% completion. That's all changed here. Survivors in Dead Rising 2 are smarter, faster, and far more capable. They can defend themselves properly now, even if they don't have a weapon. They won't attack every zombie they bump into, and they avoid getting stuck on the environment too. Just about every survivor can be armed now. The amount of helpless survivors who need you to carry them has been reduced. And if you're carrying the Leadership magazine, survivors become durable badasses. They're no longer dead weight you're dragging through the undead. Now they can at least pull their own. They have more personality to them too, and a good chunk of them offer a reward outside of experience points. Like the first game, I'm not going to go over every survivor you'll run into, but I'll bring up a couple of the more interesting ones here and there. It helps that the zombies themselves are balanced differently too. There are more of them on screen now, massive crowds flooding the streets and casinos, but they're less of an obstacle. In Dead Rising 1, even brushing past a single zombie could lock you into a grab animation. Here, you can weave between them much more fluidly. You don't have to clear a path every time. You can just guide your crew around the danger and keep moving. It also helps that they don't respawn so fast either. So you don't have that situation where you kill 20 zombies, turn the camera, and then they're all back. Some areas of the mall have vehicles like security carts, dirt bikes, and even wheelchairs to make getting through the undead easier. The only drawback is that most don't sit more than 2 people, so they're basically off the table if you're leading a huge group. Like the first game, Dead Rising 2 lets you fight the undead with just about anything that isn't bolted to the floor. You got your standard options: firearms, knives, bats, sledgehammers, 2x4s. Then there's the improvised stuff: chairs, sporting equipment, giant teddy bears, and pretty much whatever junk you can scoop up in a panic. Weapons still work off a durability system, meaning everything breaks eventually, but you can still extend their lifespan or buff their damage with magazines you find. The big shakeup this time around is the introduction of combo weapons. By combining 2 items, like boxing gloves and a Bowie knife, you create something deadlier, like the knife gloves. Live out your fantasy of becoming Wolverine by slicing and dicing the undead. Or you can combine a drill with a spear to get the drill spear. That does solid damage and hits fast, making them a great choice for psychopath encounters. Or fucking embrace your inner Anakin Skywalker by combining gems with a flashlight to make a lightsaber. These combo weapons hit harder, last longer, and more importantly, earn you more experience points than their individual parts. The system's built right into the game's loop, and you're constantly encouraged to experiment with new builds. To go along with that, there's the combo card system. You unlock these cards by leveling up, saving survivors, beating psychos, or even just checking out posters in the environment. If you already have the combo card for a weapon, you'll earn even more experience when you use it. That said, you don't need a combo card to make a weapon. You just won't get that sweet XP bonus. Some combos are definitely better than others, but overall the system's well balanced. You can't just walk in with one mega weapon and win every fight. For one, you still need to find the right components. And 2, combo weapons can only be crafted at maintenance benches. They're pretty common throughout Fortune City, but you're not always going to have time mid-boss fight to sprint back and craft a new toy. So the game rewards preparation, going into tough encounters with the right gear and a plan rather than just reacting on the fly. Combo weapons are powerful, but they don't turn the game into a complete cakewalk. At least not in the early hours when your inventory is limited. You have to balance carrying weapons and healing items. Also, psychos often have movesets or gear that can catch you off guard no matter what you're packing. The level up system in Dead Rising 2 sticks pretty close to what the first game laid down too. You earn experience by saving survivors, killing zombies, taking down psychopaths, and doing a few odd tasks, like messing with specific objects in the environment. Every time you level up, you either gain an inventory slot, boost one of your core stats, learn a new melee move, or unlock a new combo card. While there's still some randomness to what you get when you level up, the system is a lot smarter about what it gives you and when. You're not going to end up at level 40 still running around with your starting health or 5 inventory slots. There's a built-in structure to keep things balanced, so you're always progressing in a way that matters. Like the first game, if things go south, you can choose to restart your run and carry over your current level and stats. That mechanic's still a great way to make early game mistakes feel less punishing. And this time around, you don't even have to die to use it. You can just exit out and start fresh whenever you want. But honestly, it doesn't feel as necessary in Dead Rising 2. Between how quickly you rack up experience, especially if you're using combo weapons with the right combo cards, and how the game dishes out upgrades, it's easy to stay ahead of the curve on your first go. Oh, and before I forget, they also added co-op and a Terrorist Reality multiplayer mode. Both look pretty solid, but I didn't actually play them for this video. Alrighty, that covers most of the gameplay stuff for now, so let's go get Katie her Zombrex.
Oh, great. Hey! I know you're holding out on us. Where's the money? Where's the safe? Come on! Don't lie to me!
We don't have a safe!
Don't lie!
Hey, dirtbag, let the lady go.
Heading out to Roy's Mart, we encounter a new enemy type that wasn't in the first game: looters. They fight pretty much like the Raincold cultists from the first game, and will pop up in small numbers in a few stores here and there. These serve a much bigger function that I'll get into in a few. After taking out those bozos, Chuck will lift the pharmacy key off of one of them, and unlock the back room to nab a box of Zombrex. He'll also guide the nice pharmacist the looters were hassling back to the safe room. Arriving just in time, Chuck gives Katie her injection, and she gets to be a normal little girl for another day. But with 3 days to go until rescue arrives, finding Zombrex for Katie is going to become part of your usual routine. Like the first game, Dead Rising 2 runs on a strict countdown. 72 hours, 3 in-game days to work through the story cases, save survivors, and deal with the psychos scattered across Fortune City. But this time around, the system is much more forgiving. Story cases and survivor rescues don't demand instant attention the second they pop up. The timers are more generous, giving you the flexibility to put them off until later in the day, or even the next morning, without immediately failing them. On top of that, there's a wider gap between major case files, encouraging you to explore the city, experiment with combo weapons, or round up survivors without constantly staring at the clock. The big wrinkle this time is Katie's Zombrex schedule. Every day at 7 AM sharp, you need to be back at the safe house to give her an injection. Miss that deadline and it's game over. Thankfully, managing her doses is far less stressful than it sounds. Looters have set up black market shops across the strip, selling Zombrex at a steep price, $25K for the first dose, with the cost climbing higher each time. But money in Fortune City isn't hard to come by. You can earn them by gambling on the slot machines and casinos, or just smashing them to pieces along with the ATMs. Some survivors will pay you for saving them, and one combo weapon can earn you 10K if you use it on ATMs. Beyond that, Zombrex is tucked away in hidden spots, like behind the performance stage at the Slot Ranch Casino, sometimes rewarded through survivor missions, or even handed over as part of the main story. There's even a psycho encounter that nets you one for free. All of this means that, compared to the first game, time management in Dead Rising 2 feels much more approachable. You don't need to treat every run like a speed run. You got the breathing room to mess around, test weapons, or even gamble a little, before jumping back into the main story. Speaking of which, let's get the plot going again, because shit just got worse for Chuck.
I've been told that we have received a broadcast from our field reporter Rebecca Chang, who is inside Fortune City.
It is clear that the outbreak started in the Fortune City arena during last night's Terror is Reality show. Information received from a behind-the-scenes source reveals that this outbreak was not an accident, but rather an act of terrorism. This shocking footage was obtained from a source inside the Fortune City arena, the site of the Terror is Reality game show. It may be upsetting to some viewers. Initial reports suggest that the man in the video is former motocross champion Chuck Green.
What?
Green, a member of the zombie rights protest group Cure, was a contestant in tonight's pay-per-view game show. Acquaintances describe Green as a known drifter who is still angry over his wife's death in the Vegas outbreak. This horrible act of terror appears to be an escalation of violence for the protest group. This is Rebecca Chang, reporting live from the Fortune City Hotel in the heart of Fortune City.
What? That's complete bullshit.
Well, it wouldn't be Dead Rising without a conspiracy to unravel. Given 3 days to prove his innocence, Chuck's first stop is tracking down ace reporter Rebecca Chang. Before that, though, I decided to make a quick detour to the Yucatan Casino to confront the game's first psychopath. Serving as boss fights, psychopaths are unhinged survivors who snap under the pressure of the outbreak. They're more than just boss fights. They're character studies in how people break when society collapses. Some are tragic, some are darkly funny, and some are just straight up disturbing. Or they used to be, as the psychopaths in Dead Rising 2 lack the believability most of their counterparts in the original had. Gameplay-wise, they're tougher than regular enemies, coming with their own attack patterns and arenas, and a good chunk are technically optional. Beat them and you'll usually get a big payout, either experience, some more survivors to save, weapons, or combo cards. While some of the psychopaths feel like rehashes or underwhelming compared to the ones in the first Dead Rising, there's still a huge highlight here. Now let's meet the first one, Ted.
Hey, buddy.
Snowflake hungry. Look what I found you, pretty girl. Fresh meat.
Ted's different. He's slow, childlike in his speech, and completely devoted to his pet tiger, Snowflake. To him, she's not just a companion, she's his only friend. And he's been keeping her fed with fresh meat, meaning any unlucky survivor who stumbles into the casino. Chuck tries to reason with him, but one poorly chosen word, calling Ted slow, sets him off. Cue a boss battle. Calling it a fight with Ted is being a little generous. He's no different than a survivor holding a gun. No special moves or even a unique weapon. He's just the appetizer. But Snowflake, she's the main course here. Fast, aggressive, and capable of mauling you to death in seconds if you let your guard down. Unlike Ted, she's no pushover. Well, he's a goner no matter what, which is kinda sad since he wasn't all that bad a guy. You can save Snowflake. There's steaks scattered across her enclosure, or you can grab some from a nearby restaurant. Toss her 3, and instead of ripping you apart, she calms down. Even better, you can take her back to the safe house as a gift for Katie. Because nothing says I love you like showing up with a fully grown tiger for your little girl. With Snowflake taken care of and safely chilling at the safe house, it's back to business. Time to find Rebecca Chang and figure out who's framing Chuck for turning Fortune City into another Las Vegas.
You need to pay attention out here, buddy.
This hot scoop is Channel 6 Action News ace reporter Rebecca Chang. She's confident, capable, and really easy on the eyes. It's not just me being me. The camera lingers on her legs, her hips, her ass.
God damn.
Blue Castle Games knew exactly what they were doing, and I applaud them for that. Rebecca's the kind of reporter who throws herself into danger for the scoop. Basically a gender-flipped Frank West. Cocky, stubborn, and always in it for the story. Hell, she wants to cover wars too, you know. But she's not completely reckless. When Chuck swears he's being framed, she doesn't write him off. She won't give up her source either, just in case he is guilty. But she's sharp enough to clock that he doesn't really fit the role of mastermind terrorist. That's what makes her such a good foil for Chuck. He's stoic, reserved, all business. She's fiery, playful, and loves needling him with little digs. Their chemistry has some spark, and the ship tease is definitely intentional. Those flirty jabs that make you go, alright, maybe Chuck deserves a win here. Go for it, Chuck. She'd be a great stepmom for Katie. Offering him a chance to prove his innocence, Rebecca suggests the security room for the strip might hold the answers. So they head off together to check the tapes. After a short jog and some more flirty banter, they reach the security room. But it's already too late. Everyone inside is dead. The monitors are smashed, the computer's trashed. Whatever evidence was here is long gone. The pair immediately clock it as a cover-up. Too clean, too convenient. Someone wanted to make sure no one could trace what happened. Before they can dig any deeper, Chuck gets a call from Stacy back at the safe house. Something's up, so he needs to come back now. And he'll meet Rebecca there. When Chuck returns, things are already on fire. Sullivan's seen Rebecca's news report and is halfway through kicking Chuck and Katie out. He doesn't care about the whole frame thing, he only cares that Chuck's a risk, and Katie's infection doesn't exactly help their odds. But Chuck pushes back. He tells Sullivan to give him until the military arrives in 3 days. That's all he needs to prove he's innocent and figure out who's really behind the outbreak. Surprisingly, Sullivan agrees. It's not out of trust, but practicality. Chuck's already proven he can handle himself out there. And with Fortune City falling apart, having one more competent survivor might be worth the risk. It'll be a while until Case 2 begins, so in the meantime, let's check off 2 more psychos.
Oh, well, looky here. If it ain't Widow Chucky Queen. Didn't get enough of me yet? Come back for my autograph? Oh, I bet you just get rock hard thinking about me at night, don't you, Chucky?
The first is Leon Bell, a fellow terrorist reality contestant, and someone who used to look up to Chuck back in his motocross days. Emphasis on used to. You find him on the Platinum Strip riding around on his chainsaw bike. He's bored of killing the slow-moving zombies, and has started going after tougher moving targets, humans. If I'm being honest, Leon comes off less like he cracked, and more like he's throwing a tantrum for losing TIR. Also, he only lost respect for Chuck because he doesn't get super stoked driving through crowds of zombies, and that he only does it for the money. Like, bro, stop being such a bitch. This is a game show, not an actual sport. Still, Leon's determined to prove his superiority, so he tosses Chuck a key to the bike nearby, and speeds off down the strip to wait for him. Leon uses his chainsaw bike as a weapon, and he's fast. Like, ridiculously fast. He circles you non-stop, making it tough to get a hit in. If he catches you in his path, he'll send you spinning in the air. Your best strategy? Keep your distance and bring a gun. You can try to close in when he stops the glow, but you gotta be quick. It's a fight of patience more than brute force, and kind of annoying, honestly. Though, you might be able to get him stuck in the environment for a few free hits, until he pulls himself off. After Leon goes down in a blaze of glory, literally, you unlock his backup bike to drive around in and modify with weapons to cut through the undead on the strip. The second encounter was less bombastic, but a little more disturbing. In a men's bathroom next to the Americana Casino, I stumbled into Brandon Whitaker, a Cure member who completely lost his mind. He thinks Chuck and Stacy are the masterminds behind the outbreak, part of some grand plan to infect the world. He's taken a hostage, Vicky, and is planning to infect her to spread the message. In terms of motivation, he works a lot better than Leon. This is also where the psychopaths work better than the ones in the first game, as a good chunk of them have a grudge against Chuck, since they all saw the news report claiming he caused the outbreak. Their fights end up being more personal, as opposed to Dead Rising 1, where Frank barely said anything when encountering a psycho. Back to the battle, Brandon fights with a shard of broken glass, and likes to play peekaboo behind bathroom stalls. He'll ambush you from corners, dive at you with a stab, then vanish like it's a slasher movie. He does a lot of damage too. And I was pretty unprepared, just one healing item on me, so this one got tense fast. The key is dodging his lunges. If you sidestep in time, he's left wide open for a few attacks. Once you put him down, Brandon gets some karmic justice when he gets bitten by a zombie. Though rather than turn, he slits his own throat. Typical slacktivist. All talk but unwilling to see the cause through. That or he snapped back to his senses and realized how badly he fucked up. Returning to the safe house to start case 2, Stacy's been checking the security feeds and spotted a group of people up to something in the underground tunnels. Well, better head down there to check it out. The entrance to the tunnels is tucked away behind a maintenance store across from the Yucatan Casino. Once inside the tunnels, Chuck doesn't find lost survivors or stragglers. Nope, he stumbled onto something shady, and the sleazy host of Terror is Reality, TK, is involved.
Chucky! You made it out. After that pathetic performance you gave last night, I thought for sure they'd find you lying dead with a load in your shorts. Show Chucky how the game is really played, boys.
Okay, what the hell is everyone's deal? Chuck won TIR. If they want spectacle, they should have judges rating him on his sick motocross tricks, and not how many zombies he kills. Despite Chuck being literally outgunned, TK's mercs all have assault rifles, they just stand in place and only take pot shots, making them easy to pick off with my drill spear. Once they're down, TK hops on the train and takes off. Chuck nabs a bike from another merc and gives chase. Unfortunately, despite the cool setup, this train chase kinda sucks. The camera angle and controls down in the tunnels don't feel nearly as smooth as they do topside, especially when trying to hit ramps and line up jumps. Still, with some persistence, I finally make the jump onto the moving train. After taking out a few more mercs, Chuck confronts TK about the footage, claiming he was responsible for the outbreak. And the smug bastard confirms that he played a part in setting him up. He doesn't explain why, but it's obvious Chuck was just a fall guy. Before we learn anything else, TK uncuffs his train car and escapes. While he got away, at least we know he's involved with the outbreak, but TK's endgame is still up in the air. Chuck recovers the underground access key, which lets you explore the tunnels more freely from multiple entrances across the mall. The tunnels aren't really a shortcut for getting around though, just another area you'll be visiting now and then for plot reasons. Since it'll be a few hours until Katie needs her Zombrex, I finished up day 1 by heading out to Casino Donichi in the food court to check off another psychopath.
I am Antoine. They call me the king of cuisine. I've been expecting you. What? Well, you're a little bit late. But it's good you finally made it. It's true what they say. Tastes like chicken. Wait! Needs a bit more butter.
Meet Chef Antoine Thomas. He apparently snapped because he was supposed to meet some big-time food critic that would have launched him into stardom. Cause, you know, zombies. It feels a little flimsy. It would have made way more sense if he snapped because the critic gave him a bad review and killed his dreams. He ends up feeling like a rehash of Larry Chang, though his boss fight is a step up in difficulty. Antoine's surprisingly aggressive. He'll slap you around with a frying pan, which also blocks bullets. He'll throw plates like ninja stars, and worst of all, tackle you to the ground to force feed you whatever nightmare fuel he's cooking up. Every time he takes damage, he scurries off to stuff his face with food lying around the kitchen, healing himself if you don't stop him fast enough. I remember he was kinda infamous back in the day because of how tough he could be. But I don't know, he's definitely the toughest psychopath I've fought so far. But he wasn't hair-tearingly frustrating. Though I did come prepared. I had a painkiller mixed drink going into the fight, which on top of healing, it also cuts the damage you take for a brief time. I brought along the drill spear too. Quick, stabby, and perfect for interrupting Antoine before he could finish chewing his food. It still turned into a messy kitchen brawl, but eventually I got the upper hand. Antoine's death is poetic, I guess, in a dark comedy kind of way. He stumbles and partially falls into the deep fryer, screams, and just stays in there. Like, dude, I didn't cut off your arms, pull yourself out. Oh well, guess you could say, he's cooked. And that wraps up day 1. With nothing left to do, I'll head back to the safe house until it's time for Katie's next Zombrex injection.
All done, kiddo. You feeling okay?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, for what?
You always have to do stuff to get my medicine. Weird stuff, like that dumb show.
I wish there was a better solution.
Hey, don't worry about that. You're my best girl. I'd do anything for you.
With her safe for another 24 hours, Chuck checks in with Stacy and Rebecca. He tells them about his confrontation with TK in the tunnels, how the guy straight up confessed to starting the outbreak and framing him. Rebecca's not so sure that's the whole story. From a business angle, she argues it makes no sense. Why would TK sabotage his own show? It'd be like a magician sawing a woman in half for real. Bad for ratings, worse for lawsuits. Foreshadowing. But before they can debate it further, an explosion rocks Fortune City. On the monitors, they see TK's mercs in the middle of a heist. Turns out the zombie outbreak might have just been a smokescreen for a casino robbery. Sneaky as the dickens. Alright, let's go stop that asshole. 3 casinos, 3 drill teams, same goal. Break into the vaults. Each group is guarded by TK's inept mercs, and once you clear them out, you gotta destroy the drills before they crack the safes wide open. It's not too difficult, mostly because you have so much time to stop the drills, and since the mercs are barely a threat. After you take out the 3rd crew, TK sends in one final wave. An armored van crashes into the Americana Casino, loaded with more mercs and heavier firepower. After another firefight and a few more well-placed swings at the van, TK's heist goes up in smoke.
Damn it! What do I pay you people for?
We're staying a bit longer than planned, boys.
Fantastic.
You've got a real knack for showing up at the right time, don't you? Have you covered wars or something?
Not until now. Everybody has a first time, Chuck.
Oh my god, would you guys get a room and fuck already? Before they part ways, Rebecca tells Chuck to meet her back at the Yucatan Casino at 11 p.m. She's going to introduce him to her source, the one person who might finally blow the whole thing wide open. With Case 3 wrapped up, we got a decent amount of time to kill before meeting up with Rebecca. First things first though, it's time to go find one of the more important survivors of the game. In the Palisades Mall, tucked away in the back of the Venus Touch Salon, I found Lynette, badly dehydrated and suffering from a nasty sunburn. Turns out she'd been stuck in a tanning bed when the outbreak began. All she needed was something to drink, and after carrying her out to safety, she repaid Chuck with some very valuable intel. A secret passage from the Palisades Mall to the Royal Flush Plaza. The entrance is hidden inside a changing room at Brand New You, and it pops you out in the men's bathroom just steps away from the safe house hallway. It's one of those shortcuts that completely changes the flow of the game, making longer survivor escorts much safer, and shaving down precious travel time. Next up, we got a couple of psychopaths to take care of.
You're Chuck Green.
That's right. And you are...
Oh, you know me. I'm Slappy. Everyone knows Slappy.
First up is Slappy, real name Brent, the mall mascot for Kids' Choice Clothing. After losing his girlfriend Susie in the outbreak, she played the matching mascot, Slappy just snapped. He blames Chuck, thanks to the TV reports framing him for the outbreak, and while Chuck is innocent, you can't help but see where Slappy's anger comes from. That's assuming Susie was actually his girlfriend. It sounds like he puts her on a pedestal because she's the first girl who ever gave him a chance. They haven't even had their first date yet when she died. The fight itself is a tough one. Slappy skates around the area with twin makeshift flamethrowers strapped to his arms, spraying fire and walled arcs while laughing through his oversized mask. He's quick, erratic, and his flame spin attack can wipe out a chunk of health before you realize what's happening. The best way to deal with him is to land a well-timed jump kick to knock him flat, then get in a few hits before he scrambles back to his feet. Even with that strategy, it's an intense fight. One where I barely made it out alive, mostly because again I forgot to carry food with me. And when it's over, Slappy crawls towards Susie's corpse to lie beside her. Such a tragic end. Before the game undercuts the moment with a cheap jump scare as he suddenly lunges one last time.
Don't worry, kids. Slappy live forever.
Tonal whiplash aside, it's one of the stronger psychopath encounters. If Slappy was slightly tragic, then Randy is pure nightmare fuel. A grotesque, overweight man in a gimp suit, Randy has taken over a wedding chapel and is forcing terrified women into mock ceremonies. When Chuck arrives, Randy kills the poor guy he had roped into officiating his wedding, and then sets his sights on him. Despite his size, Randy is stupidly fast, and his chainsaw has a massive hitbox that can shred through your health bar in seconds. Getting aggressive is risky, so the smarter play is hit and run tactics. Bait his charges, bolt over the chapel pews to keep distance, then land quick strikes before backing off again. It's a brutal fight, and I even died once due to being low on healing items. But eventually Randy goes down in a suitably grotesque fashion, eaten alive by his first bride, now turned zombie. Alright, nothing left to do but meet up with Rebecca.
Have a drink, Chuck. TK had a feeling you'd show up.
You're the source?
Can't have the man responsible for the outbreak running around free now, can we, Chuck? Especially as he keeps interfering with other people's business.
That's bullshit and you know it. TK set me up and you helped.
We're just some fellow survivors trying to win big, Chuck. But you wouldn't know much about that.
This outbreak is killing thousands. People are dying.
Bragging doesn't really suit you, Chuck. I always saw you more as the strong, silent type.
The very, very silent type.
Ah, shit. I completely forgot about these two cock teases. And they're no pushovers either. The twins are lightning fast, each armed with a sword, and if one knocks you down, the other closes in to stomp you in the nuts. They're constantly running back and forth from the dance floor, trying to bait you into an ambush. While they can feel overwhelming at first, you really want to focus on just one twin. As the fight ends the second one of them goes down. While I found them manageable with the knife gloves, you're better off with a long-range weapon like the shotgun at the check-in just outside the nightclub. It's a flashy, vicious duel, but also one of the most memorable psychopath encounters in the game. Once you kill the first twin, the second one loses the will to live, then proceeds to gut herself. Well, that was a little bit overdramatic, but that's what you get for being evil. Untying Rebecca, she managed to overhear something interesting from Amber and Crystal. TK's got a helicopter coming to pick him up at sunset. If they can figure out where it's going to land, they can get to drop on him before he escapes. There isn't much to do till then, so we end the day with one more psychopath fight. Returning to the Royal Flush Plaza, we'll spot a mail cart on the way to the safe house. Interact with it and you'll meet Carl the mailman, in the middle of trying to make a delivery to no one, seemingly unaware or not caring that there's a zombie outbreak happening. He takes that whole post office motto of neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds way too seriously. Honestly, he probably wasn't all that stable even before the outbreak. He recognizes Chuck from the news reports, hands him what looks like a package, and of course, it turns out to be a bomb. When it fails to kill him, Carl pulls out a shotgun and starts tossing explosives around the Royal Flush Plaza. It's not the hardest fight, since the plaza is big, full of cover, and loaded with food to heal with. Carl's bombs are easy enough to dodge, but his shotgun has a huge range, so you can't get too careless. Once he's beaten, Chuck recovers a package of Zombrex that Carl was hoarding. Carl even makes him sign for it before finally blowing himself up. Whether it was a moment of clarity or just more madness is hard to say, but either way, it's another dose of Zombrex secured for Katie. And with that, Case 4 wraps up, and Day 2 comes to a close.
Daddy, I don't feel so good.
Katie! 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 This is how her mother was before she...
It's okay. Look, she's not turning. This happened to my sister once. It's that damn drug.
Your sister?
She used to have to deal with Zombrex too.
Used to?
She couldn't take it anymore. Everything in her life revolving around that drug. One day she just let herself.
I'm sorry.
There's talk of finding a cure someday. Isabella Keyes was looking for it.
Wasn't she one of the terrorists in Willamette?
No, her brother was the terrorist. He was angry, taking revenge for a government experiment that caused all of this in the first place. Isabella tried to help. She worked with Frank West to make the first inhibitor, using Queens.
Well, I hope she's still looking.
Not for nothing, but the effects Zombrex has on your body, combined with how expensive it's getting, it's a miracle zombie outbreaks didn't get worse. Especially since you're fucked if you forget to take it each day. It's no wonder Stacy's sister gave up. Also, nice little callback to the first game there, though it feels extremely clunky. With a big gap before the next story case, I decided to use the downtime to rescue some important survivors. That's how I ran into the high rollers over at the Atlantica Casino. 3 gamblers holed up in the back, perfectly safe from the zombies outside, but they refused to leave until someone could beat them at their own game. So poker it is. You need at least 100k to buy in, and then it's just a standard game of Texas Hold'em against the 3 of them. If you have all 3 gambling magazines, you can skew the odds in your favor to draw better cards, but otherwise it's just a matter of patience and smart betting. And at least you get a great view of Jessica's tits while you're trying to win. Fun fact, this mission is literally how I first learned how to play poker back in the day. Then, when I inevitably forgot how to play again, that's when Balatro dropped and taught me how to play it all over again. Once you clean them out, they'll follow Chuck back to the safe house. And as a bonus, beating them unlocks a follow-up poker game at the safe house later on. Same deal, only this time it's strip poker against 3 other survivors. Nice. After flexing my poker skills with the high rollers, I made my way over to the Palisades Mall and stumbled into one of the more interesting survivor groups in the game, Tape It or Die. Tucked away in the back room of Coconut Sports Town, you find 4 survivors running their own little DIY apocalypse web show. Their whole shtick is teaching people how to build combo weapons. One of them asks Chuck to fetch some plates and a cement saw, and if you bring them back, they reward you with the plate launcher and its combo card. The weapon is dope, but fulfilling the request is essential. If you don't complete the little errand now, you won't get the chance to rescue them when their proper survivor case rolls around later. So, totally worth the detour. Not long after that, I decided to thin out the local psycho population. On the Platinum Strip, you run into a group of redneck snipers who've taken to shooting anyone unlucky enough to wander into their line of sight. Fighting them isn't hard, the real challenge is figuring out how to reach them, since each one has set up shop on a different rooftop. First, there's Johnny, perched above the Slot Ranch Casino. You get to him by climbing a ladder on the left side of the building. Then Derek, stationed above the Atlantica Casino, reach through an alley and some scaffolding. Next up is Big Earl, capping out on top of a building under construction. You can just climb up some crates to get the drop on him. And finally Dietz, sitting pretty above the movie theater near Jug's Bar and Grill. Individually, none of them are all that tough. They mostly rely on distance and the hope you'll get impatient. But once you start knocking them down one by one, the whole encounter becomes more of a puzzle about how to reach them safely without getting picked apart. My next stop was the South Plaza, where I ran into Sheriff Seymour, a security guard who is using the outbreak as an excuse to play judge, jury, and executioner. Seymour had started hanging people left and right for ridiculous reasons. Despite taking the Wild West lawman persona, this guy was all talk. The actual fight against him was on the same level as Ted. He just kinda stood there, taking hits like a training dummy. Whether it was a bug or intentional, he went down with barely a struggle. His end is a little more memorable though. In a desperate attempt to climb away, he falls straight into a table saw. Then Chuck hits us with this banger of a line.
I saw what you did there.
Peak cinema, folks. Oh, and Seymour drops an insanely powerful revolver too, which I forgot to pick up and never came back for. From there, things took a much weirder turn with Baby Love, a fallen pop idol from the late 80s who decided the zombie apocalypse was the perfect time for a comeback show. And let me tell ya, if Rebecca was eye candy, then BB is a full-on eye buffet. The hair, the leather corset, the way her voice drips with desperation. She even gropes Chuck's ass a few times. Hell, almost every camera angle of BB is either cleavage or cheeks. Somebody on the dev team has a thing for cougars, and honestly, respect. And yeah, I totally would too. But here's the twist. BB isn't like the other psychos. She doesn't fight you, at least not directly. Instead, she's holding her stage crew hostage with explosives, and treating Chuck like her personal roadie. First, she needs a drink. Then she insists he put on a tuxedo to class up the show. And finally, she wants a bigger audience. So you lure zombies to the stage with firecrackers, then hop on the control panel for a rhythm minigame, while she bouts out her big number. The whole thing ends with her collapsing into what she thinks is a crowd of screaming fans, but actually zombies. You can let her be devoured, or you can fight through the horde, save her, and escort her back to the safe house once she snaps out of her diva haze. It's one of the strangest, most memorable encounters in the game, for several reasons. Mostly those cheeks. After all the side detours, it was time to get back on track with the main case. Chuck meets Rebecca on the bunker rooftop where the two settle in for a bit for some old-fashioned surveillance. Eventually, their patience pays off. TK's helicopter touches down on the roof of the Fortune City Hotel. If there was any doubt he was still pulling strings, it's gone now. Rebecca and Chuck gear up to confront him. The hotel itself isn't much of a hurdle. You fight through a small crew of mercs on your way up. Then when you reach the roof is when things take a turn. TK and what's left of his team are preparing to make their grand escape. Chuck manages to hook a winch onto their helicopter, preventing it from taking off, which sets up a sort of boss fight. It's less about trading blows with TK directly and more about wrecking his ride. The fight boils down to avoiding machine gun fire and dodging the winch crane as the chopper thrashes around, then lobbing anything you can find into the spinning rotors to wear it down. Every time it tries to pull away, you use the winch to drag it back, only to start the process again. It's a creative fight, I guess, but it's a little clunky in its execution. Eventually, the helicopter sputters out, crashes, and TK himself is flung from the cockpit. TK survives the drop and is knocked out cold, so Chuck drags him back to the safe house and locks him up. He still needs that bastard alive if he wants to clear his name. Before wrapping up day 3, we still had one more psychopath encounter. Heading over to the Atlantica Casino, I bump into a pair of washed up magicians. Roger and Reed. The two are an odd mix of the duo Siegfried and Roy, and the duo Penn and Teller. They're on stage rehearsing their classic sawing a woman in half trick, only instead of sleight of hand, they've gone full slasher, leaving their unfortunate volunteer in pieces. Chuck calls them out, and like any aging divas unwilling to face reality, they lash out. Reed arms himself with a rocket launcher that he mostly uses like a blunt instrument, while Roger dances around with twin magician swords, twirling and lunging at you in wide arcs. It's a 2-on-1 battle, but compared to some of the psychos he fought, they aren't exactly deadly, just flashy. Taking Reed out first removes the heavier threat, leaving Roger to play keep away until you close the distance. After the fight, as Roger lies dying, he crawls over to Reed and pulls his dagger, and starts stabbing the ever-loving shit out of him. All while cackling that he's always wanted to do that. I guess these guys weren't really on good terms, huh? And with that, Day 3 draws to a close.
Dad, it didn't let me get to the save point. I'm gonna have to restart.
Sorry, kiddo. Time for your medicine.
After giving Katie her last dose of Zombrex, the military finally arrives to clean up Fortune City and start evacuating survivors. But almost immediately, shit hits the fan. A strange green gas begins flooding through the tunnels and streets, mutating the undead into tougher, faster gas zombies. The soldiers are wiped out almost instantly, leaving only Sergeant Boykin alive. Rebecca witnesses the massacre, barely escaping as the gas spreads, while Sullivan grimly informs Chuck that they'll have to wait another 24 hours for a second rescue attempt. And if those guys fail too, then the city will be firebombed. Well, fuck. Gas zombies will be everywhere now too. They're much faster than normal zombies, making a beeline for Chuck whenever they spot him. They're slightly more durable, puke blood on you, and worst of all, gas zombies have a stronger grapple. You need to hit the right prompt twice in a row to escape, but if your reaction is garbage, you could lose a good chunk of health trying to get out. Oh, and destroying wasp queens won't kill them like regular zombies. They're just momentarily stunned. I wasn't sure if this series needed zombie variants like Resident Evil, but the gas zombies work. They're a nice shake-up to the norm, an elite zombie type that can be dealt with easily enough, but that you can't underestimate. Chuck sets out to rescue Rebecca, who's trapped in the underground parking lot. That's where he runs into Sergeant Boykin, in one of the game's more tragic psychopath encounters.
Suck on this, you bastards! 8-Ball, they're coming from the left flank. Attaboy, 8-Ball, keep that flank covered.
While a little gung-ho, he didn't seem like such a bad guy. Traumatized by watching his entire squad get slaughtered, Boykin has completely broken from reality. He still believes his men are alive, still fighting at his side, and for reasons not explained, he's holding Rebecca hostage. Or maybe he thinks he's rescuing her. The fight itself is actually kind of intense. Boykin wields an LMG, firing short, punishing bursts that can knock you off your feet. He rolls to dodge your attacks, peppers the area with grenades, and is quick to punish you if you get too greedy with your offense. It's one of the more grounded soldier-type encounters, and it feels appropriately desperate given the collapse of the rescue. When Chuck finally takes him down, Boykin doesn't even seem to realize he's been fighting another human. Cornered, broken, and terrified of turning, he pulls the pin on a grenade and blows himself up. After Boykin's death, Chuck finally manages to reach Rebecca. Her ankle's badly sprained, so this section shifts gears into a tense escort sequence, literally carrying her through the tunnels until you grab a cart and speed toward the Americana Casino. Once back at the safe house, Rebecca is safe to recover, but Chuck takes the opportunity to finally press TK, who's now conscious. TK admits what we already know, he set up Chuck. But he didn't do it for shits and giggles. Someone else paid him to set up Chuck. TK is just a middleman. Though before we can actually find out who he's working for, disaster strikes. The bunker is breached. Zombies are pouring in through the main gate. You have to run around grabbing a couple of things to hack the bunker's control panel so you can seal the door. Finding them is easy enough, the guide arrow literally points you to them, but you'll see some of your survivors fighting back and getting swarmed. Though they've been given a huge health buff, so you don't need to stop and back them up. Just focus on gathering the parts and sealing that door. The victory doesn't last long. During the chaos, TK managed to escape his cell, only to immediately get bitten. Serves you right, dickhead. Chuck saves him from turning right then and there, but the infection sets in fast. TK begs Chuck for Zombrex. So you're left with a choice of whether or not to go out and find some for him. Does he deserve it? No. But the only way to get the true ending is giving him Zombrex. So I do, and he's just as ungrateful about it as you'd expect. At the same time, things outside Fortune City collapse even further. A news broadcast confirms that the second rescue team never made it. Communication was cut the moment they entered the bunker. The president declares the city unsalvageable, ordering a full-scale firebombing in just hours. Since we never saw this second rescue team, it's a pretty obvious cover-up. With the clock ticking, Chuck heads into the underground tunnels to trace the source of the mysterious gas. What he finds changes everything. Workers in hazmat suits are corralling zombies, using sound emitters to kill them in order to harvest the wasp queens inside their bodies. Their weapons are even stranger, electric rifles that can instantly vaporize the gas zombies with a single shot. It also makes any humans you hit it with to throw up. Pushing deeper, Chuck stumbles into a hidden lab where it all comes together. Phenotrans, the pharmaceutical giant behind Zombrex, is orchestrating everything. They created the gas, they created the outbreak, and they've been harvesting queens to fuel their empire. Two scientists try to stop him, but Chuck fights through and escapes with a laptop full of evidence, and a keycard leading to a hidden elevator. Writing it up, Chuck resurfaces in the Palisades Mall and finds the Tape It or Die crew cornered by zombies, and helping them out not only secures their safety, but nets Chuck 2 more combo cards for his trouble. After that, the final survivors of Fortune City are found in Fortune Park, 2 stranded soldiers. If you approach them unarmed and keep things calm, they'll follow you back to the safe house. With them, every last survivor has a shot at making it out alive. Once back in the security room, Chuck finally lays out everything he's discovered, and then the story takes a really bleak twist.
I don't understand. Why would they? I'll tell you why. It's been a couple of years since the last outbreak. People aren't buying Zombrex like they used to. But now zombies are back, and even the military can't stop them. There are probably lineups at every pharmacy in the country, all for Zombrex. They're making a killing off this.
Okay, so listen to me. So, you're saying that Phenotrans killed all these people to drive up their goddamn stock price? This is just crazy. We have to get this information out. We have to take these bastards down. I found this down there too.
I'll call my station. They'll send help.
What the hell?
No, not Rebecca. She would have made such a good stepmom for Katie. Sure, Stacy spent more time babysitting, but Rebecca was actually in the thick of it with Chuck, risking her nag, cracking jokes, and trading flirty jabs while bullets and zombies were flying. The chemistry was there. The banter was fun, and she felt like a natural partner for Chuck. Instead, the game rips her away in one brutally sudden moment, and I kinda hate how they just gloss over it and move on. Like, not even just a moment to mourn her. Like, come on, Chuck. Oh yeah, Sullivan was a traitor all along. He's been on Phenotrans' payroll since the beginning. He was conveniently missing when the bunker was breached, and it's obvious Sullivan was the one who freed TK. Though, interestingly, his role as head of Fortune City Security probably wasn't an act. From your interactions with him, it looks like he actually cared about the safety of the survivors Chuck was bringing in. If anything, it seemed like he was banking on escaping with them during the military rescue, but its failure and Chuck uncovering his boss's actions is what forced Sullivan to expose himself. Though it was probably more about maintaining his cover than it really was about being a good guy. As shown when he grabs the evidence of Phenotrans' involvement and heads for the rooftop of the Yucatan Casino in order to escape before the bombings. Well, time to kill that asshole and get revenge for our hot reporter waifu.
So you're behind this. You killed all these people for money. After everything that's happened, that's what you think? The money's secondary. We're trying to save lives here, Chuck.
Saving lives? What the hell are you talking about?
Come on! We had to take the necessary steps to ensure a consistent supply. We can't make the drug without queens, Chuck. A lot of queens. You can thank Isabella for that.
And TK looting the city? But that's not about money?
He went off the rails. He was well paid for his part. Then he just got greedy. His work, not ours.
Whatever happened to do no harm, Sullivan?
Open your eyes, Chuck. Do you have any idea how many people are affected in this country? Doctors, politicians, CEOs. Some of our country's best are infected. Even your little girl, Chuck. What would happen to your cute little time bomb if she didn't get her drug? Fortune City was a small price to pay to ensure our country's way of life.
You murdered these people!
Acceptable losses. This wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last.
More damning, Sullivan reveals that Phenotrans wasn't just behind Fortune City. They were also responsible for the Las Vegas outbreak that killed Chuck's wife. Cue a second-to-last final boss battle. The fight against Sullivan kinda feels like the fight with Brock from the last game. No ridiculous weapon, just a straight-up brawl. Sullivan relies on martial arts, grapples that strip your weapons away, and stuns that send you flying. If you keep your distance, he'll whip out a gun, but otherwise it's a bare-knuckle test of attrition. Though you can actually use weapons in this fight, so you're not limited to just punching him in the face. When Chuck finally gets the upper hand, Sullivan makes one last desperate attempt to escape using a skyhook rig. It doesn't go as planned. Chuck hooks him to the roof instead, ripping Sullivan in half as his torso dangles in the sky, still clutching the laptop evidence. Chuck then calls Rebecca's station, Channel 6 Action News, to broadcast the truth. Rescue helicopters arrive and survivors begin boarding. For a moment, it looks like it's over. Then Chuck notices Stacy and Katie are missing. The credits roll, only for the game to pull one last twist. Overtime mode.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a survivor. He's a hero. Do we even need to ask what he'll do?
TK?
Thanks for the Zombrex, Chucky. I got your little girl. She sure is cute. For now. Oh, and that sweet little piece of ass you've been shacking up with?
Tasty.
It turns out TK isn't finished. He's got Katie and Stacy, and if Chuck wants them back, he'll have to play errand boy. That means scouring Fortune City for a list of absurdly specific items, a compromising photo, a gift basket, an expensive bottle of champagne, a lab suit, a USB drive, a mobile headset, and even a case of Wasp Queens. Compared to the first game's overtime mode, which expanded the story and gave Frank a meaningful path to survival, this feels like padding. In Dead Rising 1, Isabella had you track down items to build an inhibitor that could stop Frank from turning. It mattered. Here, it's busy work. It punishes the players who gave TK Zombrex earlier. It doesn't meaningfully develop the story, and it doesn't change Phenotrans' victory in any way. It's the one big blemish in an otherwise near-perfect game. Once you've gathered the junk on TK's list, Chuck heads into the arena for the real final fight.
Better get up, princess. Don't want to waste your last day on Earth sleeping. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Watch Chuck Green's family get reduced to zombie chow because he didn't have the guts to save them. Your fans love you, Chuck. They look ready to just eat you up, don't they? Do you know what time it is, America? Payback time!
Just like with Brock in the first game, you lose all your items walking in. This time at least it's narratively justified. The fight itself mixes brawling with a twist. Stacy and Katie are suspended above a pit of zombies, slowly being lowered whenever Chuck goes down. You need to use a winch to raise them back up while fending off TK's relentless assaults. TK is fast, hits hard, and has plenty of health. I'll even retreat mid-fight to waste your time. The scaffolding above the arena has some items you can scavenge. A few healing items, but grabbing them means dodging stage pyrotechnics that TK gleefully sets off. It's chaotic and kinda clunky to use your melee skills on them, especially if you're stuck playing on keyboard and mouse, thanks to the game's bizarre controller restrictions. Dead Rising 2 supports the Xbox 360 controller, and only the Xbox 360 controller, not Xbox One, PlayStation, or some other third party. I tried every method suggested online to get it to read my Xbox One controller, but nada. Still, after a few attempts and a lot of patience, I beat that asshole and saved the girls. Roll credits. For real this time.
You gotta be willing to risk it all if you're ever really gonna win big.
You guys want to hang around here all day? Or get out of here?
It's over. We're going home.
And that was Dead Rising 2. Needless to say, it's every bit as good as I remembered. What makes it stand out is how it sands down nearly all the rough edges of the first game. Survivors are much more tolerable here, the zombies themselves are still overwhelming in number, but they're less of an obstacle that slows you down. Combo weapons breathe new life into combat, they're more powerful, grant bonus experience, and open the door to absurd new strategies, but they never completely break the game. At least not until the very end when you've unlocked most of the overtop combos. Psychopaths 2 feel improved, they're more durable, with expanded movesets and counters that punish you for being greedy, forcing you to approach each one carefully. Then there's Fortune City itself. It's bigger than the Willamette Mall, but wisely doesn't fall into the trap of feeling like just a bigger mall. Each casino, plaza, and side street has its own identity. Vehicles and shortcuts help cut down on backtracking, while secrets like hidden Zombrex or new combo cards make exploration genuinely rewarding. The time limit is also better balanced here too. Add in the graphical leap from the Xbox 360's launch era to its prime, and Dead Rising 2 really shows how much the franchise could shine. But it isn't flawless. While I enjoy the psychopath encounters, many feel underwhelming or like rehashes of villains from the first game. And then there's the story. For all the teasing between Chuck and Rebecca, her abrupt, brutal death at Sullivan's hands still doesn't sit right. It feels unearned and almost like it was scripted with Stacy in mind instead, given how little it's acknowledged afterward. It doesn't help that overtime mode feels tacked on either. It's easily the weakest link in the package. Still, none of that diminishes just how much I love this game. Dead Rising 2 is, without question, the best in the series. The first game will always be my personal favorite, but that's just nostalgia talking. This one is true peak. It's not a perfect game, but it is a perfect sequel. The Terminator 2 Judgment Day to the original's Terminator. It's no wonder the series struggled afterward. Dead Rising 3 leaned too hard into going bigger, and Dead Rising 4 completely lost the thread. This was always going to be a tough act to follow. Thankfully, the game didn't stop here. We got Case Zero, a little prologue bridging the Vegas outbreak to Fortune City, Case West, a more definitive wrap-up of this game's lingering plot threads, and Off the Record, a full alternate retelling of Dead Rising 2, but with Frank West as the lead. I haven't covered those yet, but I'd love to explore them in a future video. Maybe even give Dead Rising 3 a fair chance. As for Dead Rising 4, no promises. And that's the video. Thanks for watching, folks, and special thanks to my channel members and patrons, including Alfred Correa, Augie Doggy, Bailey Morrison, Brad Taylor, Eric Lee, Gonkdroid the Critic, Kerr Guardians, Skillfuse, SR Powa, Thunder Muffin, and Reckless Nerd. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so for as low as $3 a month, which will give you early access to ad-free videos, and occasionally uncut videos when I'm forced to censor things for YouTube. Higher tiers will land your name in the credits, or a verbal shoutout. Keeping the outros short for today, so leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment down below with your thoughts, and subscribe if you're new. I'm Fuzzy Slippers, and I'll see you later. Peace.